I imagine a man looking at a woman like her across a dinner table. He sees the long hair, the full lips, the effortless way she carries herself, and he thinks he knows the script. He believes the path to her heart is paved with grand gestures and constant validation of her beauty. He tells her she's the most beautiful woman he's ever seen. He makes sure to order the most impressive bottle of wine. He's putting on a performance, trying to win over the woman he thinks he's seeing. But if you watch closely, you might notice something else. A quietness. A subtle distance that forms when he praises her face but never asks about her day. A flicker of disappointment when his phone is on the table, a constant, silent third guest in their conversation. He's trying to possess an image, to handle something beautiful. What he doesn't realize is that she doesn't want to be handled. She wants to be held. And there's a universe of difference between the two. He's fallen in love with the idea of her. But what would it take to actually love the woman sitting right in front of him? Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're really plunging into the intricate world of modern relationships. We're exploring what it truly means to be seen and authentically loved. Not just looked at. Our mission, really, is to unpack how we express our deepest needs, how communication plays such a pivotal role, and the subtle, sometimes surprising ways societal expectations, they continue to shape our experiences in love.
Absolutely. And we're going to guide you through some of the fascinating psychology behind genuine connection. We'll get into some intriguing facts, maybe share a few laughs along the way too.
Yeah.
From understanding the many different expressions of affection to navigating the often tricky landscape of modern dating, we're here to help you connect those dots, the ones between surface level admiration and that truly profound intimacy.
That opening scenario, it really sets the stage perfectly for what we're diving into today. This profound difference between being handled and being held. It's a distinction that, it reverberates through so many relationships. To be handled, it often means feeling admired, maybe even celebrated, but only on a superficial level.
Right, like being a beautiful object on display.
Yep.
Appreciated for your aesthetic, but never really understood or seen for the complex, living, breathing person you are.
Exactly. You might feel a flicker of pride, perhaps, but underneath it, there's often this gnawing emptiness. A sense that the person looking at you has completely missed the real you.
You're just an image, a concept, instead of a whole human being.
Yeah. And conversely, being held, that implies a much deeper connection, doesn't it? A sense of safety, acceptance, real emotional intimacy.
It means being embraced for all of you, your quirks, your anxieties, your intellectual curiosities, your messy bits, as well as a polished exterior. It's about feeling understood, cherished, and valued, not just for what you look like or what you represent to someone else, but for who you are, right down at your core.
It's such a fundamental human longing, isn't it? To be truly witnessed and accepted in our entirety.
It really is. It's the difference between someone wanting to, say, own a painting versus someone wanting to truly understand the artist who created it.
Oh, I like that. The painting and the artist analogy, that really nails it. And we've heard this exact sentiment articulated so powerfully in the personal reflections of a woman named Nia. She speaks directly to this longing. She describes how people often fall in love with the idea of her, the long hair, full lips, effortless grace. It's that initial, almost immediate attraction to an aesthetic or a perceived persona. But what she emphasizes so beautifully, I think, is this deep-seated desire to be loved for all of me, not just for my appearance. She's yearning for a connection that goes beyond the superficial.
One that dives deeper than what the eye can immediately see and truly perceives the depths of her being, not just the physical form.
She's basically saying, don't just admire the cover, read the whole book.
It's a desire that's surprisingly universal, isn't it? This longing to be seen beyond the surface, to have our inner world acknowledged and valued. It actually reminds me of a powerful story, one that truly encapsulates this distinction between just being looked at and being truly seen. It's an anecdote that highlights how profound and really transformative that difference can feel. For years, I believed being seen was the same as being looked at. Men looked at me. They'd praise the curve of my smile or the color of my eyes, their gaze a tangible thing that felt like approval. I dated a man who called me his masterpiece, and I would laugh, feeling a simultaneous flutter of pride and a cold knot of dread in my stomach. He loved displaying me at parties, his arm a permanent fixture around my waist. He loved the way other men's eyes followed me. But when I'd stay up late sketching out blueprints for the miniature houses I dreamed of building, he'd glance over, smile vaguely, and say, "That's nice, babe," before turning back to the TV. He saw the frame, but never the picture inside. My authentic self, the girl who obsessed over architectural details, who could spend hours in silence with a craft knife and balsa wood, who was anxious and sometimes messy, was invisible to him. She didn't fit the polished masterpiece narrative. The end came not with a bang, but with a quiet click. The click of my front door closing behind him for the last time. I had chosen invisibility over being a beautiful empty shell. Months later, I was in a coffee shop, wearing an old paint-stained sweatshirt, sketching on a napkin. A man sat down opposite me. "Sorry to interrupt," he said, "but is that a floor plan for a Tudor-style dollhouse?" I looked up, truly looked up, and for the first time I felt a profound, terrifying, and exhilarating sensation of not just being looked at, but of being truly, completely seen.
Wow. That story, it's just so incredibly vivid, isn't it? It perfectly illustrates that psychological impact of, external validation versus the profound connection that comes from being internally seen. I'm curious, though, given how pervasive this pressure is to appear perfect, what are the subtle ways society and media kind of train us to fall into that trap of superficial perception even before we enter a relationship? It almost feels like we're programmed to look, not really to see.
It's a brilliant question, because the training starts early and it's incredibly subtle. I mean, we live in a world just saturated with images, constantly telling us what ideal beauty looks like. Mass media, from magazines to social media, plays its immense role in perpetuating the surface level focus. Think about the sheer volume of curated, often retouched images we consume every single day.
Right.
This constant visual input, it creates a subconscious standard, doesn't it? A template for what we believe is desirable and what we should aspire to be physically. It's not just about what we see, it's about what we internalize as the norm or the ideal.
And this leads to something psychologists call body surveillance, right? This almost constant self-monitoring.
Precisely. Many people, particularly women, engage in this constant internal assessment of whether their appearance conforms to these cultural ideals. It's like carrying a permanent internal critic who's always checking if you measure up, those media-driven benchmarks. And the research consistently shows that this internalization of media standards, especially for women, is directly linked to higher levels of this self-body surveillance.
Wow.
They're constantly looking at themselves through a lens shaped by what they see in magazines, on TV, online, which, as you can imagine, is exhausting and pretty detrimental to self-esteem. It can turn everyday life into a constant audition.
But here's where it gets really fascinating and quite surprising, I think. It's not just about how women internalize these standards for themselves. For men, their internalization of media standards is also surprisingly related to them surveying their partner's body.
Yeah.
And this, rather counterintuitively, is linked to lower relationship satisfaction for the man himself. So the person doing the objectifying, the one comparing their partner to these perfect media bodies, ends up less satisfied in their own relationship. It sounds almost like a self-sabotaging act, chasing an ideal that ultimately leaves you unfulfilled.
It absolutely is, and it highlights a critical point. Perpetrating objectification can be incredibly harmful to the perpetrator's own relationship satisfaction, not just the target's well-being. It creates a real lose-lose dynamic. When you're constantly weighing a partner against an impossible media-constructed ideal, you're simply not fully present with the real, imperfect, beautiful person right there in front of you. This intense focus on physical appearance, to the point where non-physical qualities get devalued, consistently leads to lower relationship satisfaction for both partners.
Yeah.
You're chasing a fleeting image rather than building a deep, resilient connection based on mutual appreciation and understanding.
It's like being perpetually disappointed by reality because you're comparing it to some photoshopped fantasy.
Yeah.
And for women, being surveyed by their partner is specifically linked to lower relationship satisfaction. That's a profound imbalance where appearance gets prioritized over emotional intimacy.
It really is.
It's such a clear signal that emotional connection and feeling truly valued for who you are rather than just how you look are absolutely crucial for a fulfilling relationship. It strips away that sense of safety and a genuine acceptance.
It does. It replaces it with a constant feeling of being judged or under scrutiny.
Yeah.
Indeed. It's about a lack of authenticity in the connection. If you constantly feel like you're being judged or measured against some external standard by the person who is supposed to love you unconditionally, well, it erodes trust. It makes genuine intimacy incredibly difficult to achieve.
It's a constant performance rather than a true partnership.
That's it. Imagine feeling like you always have to be on or look a certain way for your own partner. That's just exhausting and deeply isolating.
It makes perfect sense. And you can see how this ties directly into broader dating trends, especially with the rise of online dating. These platforms are almost universally designed for initial judgments to be entirely image-based, right? You're swiping left or right based on a few photos, maybe a quick bio, it often feels too fast and superficial, as so many people lament. There's this craving for deeper connection that these platforms sometimes struggle to provide because the very mechanics can inadvertently reinforce that surface-level focus we've been discussing.
You're essentially starting the relationship, if you can even call it that yet, with a visual appraisal.
Yeah, which can set a challenging precedent. It's like judging a book by its cover, but then never getting around to actually reading the chapters.
So true.
So how do we navigate this landscape? How do we move beyond just being looked at and truly get seen and authentically valued? This brings us to a framework that's become incredibly popular and, despite some critiques, undeniably useful. The concept of love languages.
Ah, yes, love languages.
It offers a powerful way to shift our focus from just general attraction to specific, intentional expressions of care. Dr. Gary Chapman proposed 5 original languages, and understanding them, both for yourself and your partner, can profoundly enhance relationships.
It's essentially a communication tool, isn't it?
Yeah.
It allows us to articulate and understand differing preferences for how affection is expressed and received. It's about recognizing that what makes one person feel loved might be completely different from what makes another person feel loved. It asks us to consider what are the tangible actions or expressions that genuinely fill someone's emotional tank.
Right. Let's break them down, starting with words of affirmation. This language is all about verbal praise, appreciation, support. But it's often misunderstood as just giving generic compliments. Nia's personal take here really brings it to life. She emphasizes genuine words that see beyond appearance, appreciating her even on my quiet days, confirming her worth and intentionality.
That's key.
It's the difference between "you look nice" and "I really admire how thoughtfully you approached that problem, even when you were stressed. Your insights are always so valuable." It's about recognizing the person's character, their efforts, their inner landscape, their resilience, not just their external presentation.
Seeing the soul, not just the surface.
Exactly.
And that's a crucial distinction. In a world where it's often easier to criticize or maybe offer hollow flattery, genuine affirmation really stands out. It's about kindness and thoughtfulness embedded in your words. It's about truly seeing someone's essence and reflecting that back to them in a way that resonates. Think about how a sincere compliment can actually counteract self-doubt or insecurity. It validates their being, not just their doing or their appearance.
Yeah, speaks to their intrinsic value, makes them feel genuinely understood and appreciated for who they are, which is really the heart of feeling seen. Next, we have acts of service. For people who speak this language, actions genuinely speak louder than words. We're talking about gestures like helping with chores, running errands, tackling tasks that ease someone else's burden.
Right, the practical stuff.
Yeah, but Naya's perspective here is crucial. It's about the right actions at the right moments. It's not just fixing problems like you're a handyman, but demonstrating shared burden and attentiveness.
Ah, that's a good point.
It could be noticing your partner is overwhelmed with work and quietly preparing dinner without being asked, or seeing a friend struggling with a deadline and offering to pick up their dry cleaning. It shows you're paying attention, anticipating needs.
And you're actively there to support, not just to rescue or provide. It's a proactive demonstration of care that says, I see what you're struggling with, and I'm here to lighten your load.
Yes, it's that subtle attentiveness that differentiates it from just, completing a task. It implies an understanding of the other person's needs, sometimes even the unstated ones.
It shows you're observing their life, understanding their pressures, and taking initiative to lighten their load without being asked. That's a powerful form of being seen. Your burdens are seen and eased. It conveys a deep level of empathy and practical care.
Then there's receiving gifts. Now, for many, this might conjure images of lavish displays or expensive items.
That's not a stereotype.
Exactly. But for those who truly value this language, it's far deeper than monetary value. For Naya, it's not about being spoiled. It's about feeling wanted and supported. It's like someone noticing her preferred skincare and taking care of it before she runs out, or maybe discreetly covering dinner without making a big deal about it.
Small things that show thought.
Yes. It's a visible, tangible sign that you're on someone's mind, that they're thinking of you, even when you're not physically present. It's the thoughtfulness behind the gift.
It's the signal that you listened and remembered something important to them, proving that you see their preferences and desires.
Yeah, it's a powerful symbol of care, precisely because it demonstrates investment and attention.
It could be a thoughtful book you mentioned, wanting to read, or even just a simple meme someone sends because it perfectly captures an inside joke or a shared interest. The gift itself is less important than the message it conveys. I thought of you, I know you, I care.
It shows someone is paying close enough attention to your preferences and desires to translate them into something tangible, the physical manifestation of being seen and remembered. Our fourth language is quality time. And this isn't just about being in the same room together.
No, definitely not.
It means spending meaningful time together with undivided attention, active listening, and full presence. Nia describes this as feeling safety, where silence is comfortable and there's no agenda beyond just chosen presence.
It's about being fully engaged, making eye contact, putting your phone away.
Oh, the phone away part is huge.
Huge. And truly listening without distraction. It's creating a bubble where you are the sole focus for each other, even if you're just quietly reading together in the same room. It's the gift of your complete, unfragmented presence.
In today's hyper-distracted world where phones are often that silent third guest at the dinner table,
Yes.
undivided attention is a profound gift. It's not just about being physically present, but being emotionally and mentally available.
This could be a weekly date night where you focus solely on each other, or just setting aside specific time. It's an intentional investment of time and focused presence, signaling that you are my priority right now.
That kind of presence creates such a deep sense of being held and truly valued because your time, which is our most precious, non-renewable resource, right? It's being dedicated entirely to them. Finally, we have physical touch. This covers expressions of love through physical contact, kissing, holding hands, cuddling, even a reassuring pat on the back. But again, Nia really highlights the crucial difference between being touched and being handled.
That's such an important distinction.
It is. She seeks respectful, intentional intimacy that conveys, I'm here, I've got you, leading to safety and natural desire. It's about touch that reassures, connects, and comforts, not just consumes or demands.
It's the gentle hand on the small of your back when you're feeling uncertain, rather than, say, an arm possessively clamped around your waist. It's about connection that feels safe and consensual, expressing support and presence.
This point about respectful and intentional intimacy is so critical. It's the gentle hand on the back, the soft fingertips, the brush of skin that demands nothing but presence and connection.
This kind of touch builds trust and emotional safety, and from that foundation, desire can truly flow naturally. It's about connection first and everything else.
It communicates comfort, reassurance, and a nonverbal affirmation of presence and support. It's a way of saying, I see you, I feel you, and I'm here for you without uttering a single word.
It's that subtle, affirming physical gesture that truly makes someone feel held. Now, while this concept of love languages feels incredibly intuitive and has clearly resonated with millions, it's also important to, unpack the research and the psychological critiques surrounding the framework.
Right.
While Dr. Chapman's ideas have been a powerful force in popular psychology, they haven't actually been as widely studied or rigorously validated in academic psychology as you might think, which doesn't mean they're wrong, just that the empirical evidence to support rigid categorization is still, it's still developing.
Right. It's a widely known pop psychology concept, but surprisingly, early academic research didn't consistently find a direct link between knowing a partner's primary love language and overall relationship satisfaction.
Interesting.
Yeah, some studies even found that knowing a partner's love language didn't lead to greater satisfaction either right then or even 3 weeks later, which suggests that while it might be a helpful tool, it's not necessarily a magic bullet for all relationship issues.
Simply knowing isn't enough. Consistent, thoughtful application is key. And this is where psychologists often caution against putting people into these kind of arbitrary boxes. When individuals take a quiz and it spits out a single classification, they might inadvertently narrow their approach based on that one category, even if their preferences are actually more mixed and nuanced.
Yeah, it can lead people to think, okay, I am a words of affirmation person, therefore I'd only need or give words of affirmation, which just isn't how the rich tapestry of human connection typically works.
We're not one-dimensional, are we? You wouldn't say, I only breathe oxygen, I don't need water. We need a mix.
Exactly. It's like acting as if because you're right-handed, you don't have a left hand at all, or you only need one food group. People are this complex blend of needs and preferences.
Reducing them to a single category can be counterproductive. It could potentially limit the ways they express or receive love, or even lead to rigid expectations. Precisely. However, the utility of these love languages isn't necessarily in that rigid categorization. Its true power often lies more as a jumping off point or maybe a conversation starter to understand differing preferences. For instance, for someone who spent their whole life feeling, awful for not liking gifts, or feeling like they were giving love the wrong way by offering practical help instead of flowery compliments.
Yeah.
Understanding that receiving gifts is just one of many ways to express affection can be incredibly validating. It helped them realize they weren't horrible for their preferences.
It empowered them to communicate what did resonate with them, like words of affirmation or quality time. It shifts the internal narrative from "I'm broken" to "I just have a different preference and that's okay."
Exactly.
That makes so much sense. It's about recognizing your own way of giving and receiving love, and then, perhaps more importantly, learning how to give other people what they need in a healthy way, even if it's not your natural inclination.
It's not just about what you need from a partner, but also about the frustration of giving love in a particular way and having it continually ignored or rebuffed because it's not landing for the other person.
That's where the communication piece becomes paramount, isn't it?
And that leads to another fascinating point. While the original 5 languages are a great starting point, there's evidence supporting other important needs in healthy relationships that go beyond those 5. For instance, granting autonomy and offering space for individual growth are critical for long-term satisfaction. One study even found an emergent 6th theme in how people communicate love, which was simply check-ins.
Oh, interesting, like just touching base.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just checking in. It suggests that love languages are just one piece of a broader, more nuanced puzzle of connection, and that modern relationships really value ongoing, consistent reassurance and engagement. A simple, "How are you doing?" or "Thinking of you."
So it's a good framework, a helpful lens, but certainly not the be-all and end-all.
Not at all.
This reminds me of other popular personality frameworks like Myers-Briggs or even astrology. They can be useful tools to help people understand people who have differing opinions, likes, and dislikes, maybe giving you a starting point for empathy.
Right, they can offer a language.
But we have to be careful, right? Caution against using them as preconceived notions that can lead to bias or as an excuse for certain behaviors.
Exactly. If you approach someone with a preconceived notion about their type, based on a quiz or zodiac sign, you might inadvertently look for patterns that confirm your biases or excuse poor behavior by saying, "Oh, they're just a Taurus, that's why they're stubborn."
Which doesn't actually help you understand them better.
No, it can in fact prevent you from truly seeing them and potentially lead to mistreatment or misjudgment. These tools are best used to guide you to try to see things in a different way, as an empathy-building tool, not some definitive, unchangeable label.
The goal is connection and nuanced understanding, not rigid classification. Okay, this brings us to a common relationship dilemma that I think so many of us have faced, and it often feels like a profound internal conflict. It's that tug of war between, if I have to ask for it, it feels disingenuous.
Oh, yes, that one.
And nobody is a mind reader. They can't know what you need if you don't ask. It's this conflict that often prevents people from articulating their needs, leading to frustration, unspoken desires, and often deep resentment.
We feel like if they truly loved us, they just know, right? As if love confers psychic abilities.
Exactly.
Overcoming that belief, the idea that I shouldn't have to ask for it, you should just know, is absolutely crucial for healthy communication and truly feeling seen. That expectation is, frankly, it's a recipe for disaster. It cultivates this sense of hypervigilance where you're constantly analyzing every move, every gesture, trying to gauge how much your partner knows you without being told.
And that leads to deep resentment because you feel unheard or unseen, even though you haven't actually voiced your needs.
Right. The real breakthrough comes from trusting that a partner will respond genuinely, even if they need to learn how to express their care in a way that resonates with you.
Yeah.
It's about believing in their willingness to show up for you, even if they need a little direction or, education.
True love often requires explicit instruction, and that's not a flaw, it's just reality. No one gets a manual for their specific partner.
Exactly. We don't come with instruction booklets.
So if asking is crucial, how do we do it effectively without sounding demanding or critical? This is where active listening comes in as a foundational strategy for genuine understanding and depth connection. Its benefits are truly transformative. It builds trust by creating a safe and supportive environment where both partners feel heard and valued. It significantly reduces conflict because misunderstandings are minimized, and partners can work together to find solutions rather than just talking past each other. And here's a big one that might surprise some. It improves intimacy.
Indeed. While direct scientific evidence linking active listening directly to physical intimacy is still developing, there's plenty of compelling anecdotal evidence from clinical practice, especially in couples therapy, that points to this connection. When you feel deeply understood and heard emotionally, that builds a powerful bridge to physical closeness. Plus, studies do suggest a strong link between effective communication and sexual satisfaction.
Okay.
For example, research has shown that couples reporting higher levels of communication satisfaction also reported higher levels of sexual satisfaction. Another study found that couples engaging in more open, honest communication about sexual issues also reported higher sexual satisfaction.
So while many factors influence intimacy, active listening, by fostering that deep emotional connection, is definitely a significant piece of the puzzle.
It creates a space where vulnerability feels safe, and that's really a prerequisite for true intimacy.
So let's talk about the key techniques for active listening. First, and maybe the most challenging in our modern lives, is to give your full attention.
Easier said than done.
Right. This means removing distractions, put the phone away, turn off the TV, pause whatever you're doing, and truly concentrating on your partner's words and emotions. Make genuine eye contact, listen carefully with an open mind, and, crucially, refrain from interrupting. Let them finish their thought completely.
Even if you think you know where they're going or have a brilliant retort ready.
Exactly.
It sounds simple, almost too simple, but it's remarkably harder than it looks because our brains are often busy formulating our own response or trying to fix the problem or even just thinking about what's for dinner.
Guilty.
Right. The key is to consciously quiet that inner monologue and focus entirely on understanding their concern and where it's coming from, rather than immediately jumping to a solution or a defense. It's about absorbing, not just waiting for your turn to speak. It's a profound act of respect.
Second technique, paraphrase. This means repeating what your partner said, but in your own words.
Not just parroting.
No, it's about showing that you've understood their message correctly and giving them a chance to clarify if you haven't. So if your partner says, "I'm so overwhelmed with work deadlines and the kids' schedules," you might respond.
Okay, so it sounds like you're saying that you're feeling a lot of pressure right now with both your job and managing the kids' activities. Is that right?
Perfect. This helps avoid misunderstandings and shows you're actively participating in understanding. It signals, I'm with you, I'm tracking.
And this leads perfectly to the third technique. Ask clarifying questions. If you're not sure what they mean, or if something they said struck you as particularly important, ask an open-ended question. This helps you gain a deeper understanding of their point of view, ensuring you stay on the same page and avoid miscommunications. It shows genuine curiosity and a desire to truly connect with their perspective.
It signals, I want to get this right. Help me understand. Next, reflect on emotions and respond with empathy. Pay attention not just to the words, but to their tone of voice, their body language, the underlying emotions they're conveying. Respond in a way that acknowledges their feelings, showing you're listening and trying to understand their emotional landscape, even if you don't necessarily agree with their viewpoint or the specific situation.
Right. You might say, it sounds like you're feeling really frustrated by this, or I can hear how upsetting this is for you. This is about validating their experience, not necessarily validating their opinion.
Such an important distinction.
And finally, a big one that often derails conversations. Avoid defensiveness and interruptions. This is where communication often breaks down completely. When you feel accused or challenged, the natural human impulse is to defend yourself. But try to stay calm, keep an open mind, and truly attempt to understand their point of view, even if it's one you disagree with.
Defensive responses or immediate interruptions make your partner feel unheard, dismissed, and will inevitably shut down the conversation.
Remember, understanding is not agreeing. It's simply trying to see their world from their perspective. It's about creating that safe space for expression.
Now, to truly practice these skills, there are specific exercises couples can use to build these muscles, right?
Yes, absolutely. One is the mirroring exercise. One partner shares a thought or feeling for maybe a minute or two, and the other partner then repeats back as accurately as possible what they heard. The purpose is to ensure accurate understanding, giving the speaker a chance to hear their own words reflected back and confirm or correct. It's surprisingly difficult at first, as we often filter what we hear, but incredibly effective.
Breaks down assumptions and shows attentiveness. I like that.
Another engaging one, especially if you want to add a bit of lightheartedness, is the body language reading game. You spend a few minutes observing each other's body language without speaking, trying to attune to nonverbal cues, a furrowed brow, restless hands, a relaxed posture.
Ooh, interesting.
Then, you guess what the other might be thinking or feeling. This attunes you to those subtle, unspoken signals and fosters deeper, intuitive understanding beyond just words. It's amazing how much we communicate without saying anything.
And a simple but profoundly powerful one that everyone should probably integrate into their routine is the appreciation round.
Yes, love this one.
Regularly, maybe daily or weekly, just express specific appreciation for each other's actions or qualities. This fosters positive communication and gratitude, making sure you're also highlighting the good.
Reinforces positive behaviors, builds that emotional bank account, not just addressing problems or deficits.
Exactly. It shifts the focus from what's wrong to what's right, reminding you both of the good things in your relationship.
So important.
Okay, so active listening is about receiving. The other side of the coin, equally crucial for feeling seen, is assertive communication, how to effectively express your own needs without feeling demanding, accusatory, or like you're placing blame.
Right, how to ask for what you need.
And a key here, which we've probably all heard but find hard to implement consistently, is using I statements.
The classic I feel.
Yes. Instead of accusing, express your feelings clearly. I feel hurt. I feel upset. I feel overlooked. Then describe the problem with facts, not judgments or interpretations. For example, instead of "you never help around the house," it's
I feel overwhelmed when the housework isn't being shared fairly. It focuses on your experience and feelings without immediately putting your partner on the defensive. It's about taking ownership of your emotions.
And this naturally leads to avoiding you statements. These are almost always accusatory, aren't they? Like, "you don't care about us," or "you're always late."
They create an immediate sense of blame, and the other person's natural response will be to shut down or defend themselves rather than listen.
Even those disguised "I feel that you" statements, like "I feel that you are selfish," are problematic because the "I feel" is just a thin veil for an accusation.
Right. The goal is to communicate your needs and feelings, not to assign fault or label your partner. It's about expressing your internal state, not making a judgment about theirs.
And when you do make requests, make them specific and concrete. This is vital for clarity and effectiveness. Ask for behavioral change, not attitude change.
Because beliefs and feelings aren't usually under voluntary control, right? You can't force someone to feel differently or change their core beliefs.
Exactly. Focus on one change at a time, something that can be changed now, and be incredibly specific. Instead of a vague, "be nicer" or "help more," say,
I would prefer it if you could help with the dishes while I bath the kids for the next 2 nights. Or I would really appreciate it if we could schedule a specific date night this week, just for us, maybe Tuesday evening.
That clarity makes it much easier for your partner to understand and respond, and it significantly increases the likelihood of your needs actually being met.
This is a crucial distinction because it empowers your partner to actually meet your needs. We want partners to understand and act, not feel attacked or confused about what's being asked of them.
Vague requests are just a setup for frustration on both sides, aren't they? Leading to a breakdown in communication and that sense of being perpetually misunderstood.
Totally. And if we talk about effective communication, it's probably worth highlighting common roadblocks to good communication and their corresponding do's and don'ts.
Good idea.
For instance, on the don't side, definitely steer clear of long lectures or sermons. Nobody wants to be preached to, and information overload just causes people to tune out.
Right. Avoid blaming statements like "it's all your fault," or vague complaints like "you need to shape up," which offers zero actionable insight.
And negative questions like, why do you always do that? They're rhetorical and accusatory, not genuinely inquisitive. And definitely avoid scowling or attempting mind reading, assuming you know what the other person is thinking or feeling.
Because you're often wrong, right? And that leads to misattributions and more conflict. These are all patterns that just shut down dialogue and erode trust.
On the flip side, the do's are all about being concise and clear. Use brief statements, maybe 10 words or less, to get your core point across without overwhelming the listener.
Always use those I statements to take responsibility for your own feelings and actions. Be direct and specific in your requests, leaving no room for ambiguity.
Use appropriate facial expressions to convey openness, warmth, or seriousness, as needed. A relaxed face is far more inviting than a clenched jaw.
And as we discussed, truly listen to others' points of view, asking questions to make sure you understand, rather than assuming or jumping to conclusions. It's about changing your communication style to invite constructive dialogue.
Not expecting your partner to magically decipher your unspoken needs or change their inherent personality.
Yeah, but even with all these tools and the best intentions, conflict is still an inevitable part of any close relationship. It's not about if you'll have conflict, but how you manage it.
That's the key.
So let's discuss effective strategies for managing conflict, especially when emotions run high. One highly effective method is having regular couples meetings.
Oh, I like the sound of that. Structured time.
Exactly. Suggest setting aside a dedicated 30-minute weekly meeting, a low-pressure, structured time divided into 4 key parts. First, appreciation.
Start positive?
Yes. Begin by expressing genuine gratitude for the positives, acknowledging what your partner has done well or what you appreciate about them from the past week sets a positive, reinforcing tone.
Ensures the good things don't get overlooked. Okay, second part.
Second, values goals. This is where you share ideas for the week ahead, discuss the shared to-do list, and how you'll work together on shared values and long-term goals. It's about aligning your paths.
Keeping you both rowing in the same direction? Makes sense.
Third, plan for good times. This is crucial for maintaining connection and intimacy. Schedule date nights, individual activities you'll support each other in, family activities. It's about being intentional about joy and recharging.
Making sure fun and connection are prioritized, not just left to chance. Love it. And finally,
problems challenges. This is where you constructively address conflicts, ongoing issues, and general life challenges. The goal here is to transform escalating conflicts into structured, productive communications where everyone feels heard and problems get resolved.
instead of festering or exploding.
Exactly. This structured approach provides a dedicated, predictable space for conversations that might otherwise get lost, avoided, or become emotionally charged during the everyday chaos of life.
It's like a regular relationship checkup. Proactive relationship maintenance, turning potential explosions into manageable discussions.
Precisely.
Another powerful technique, especially when you feel like you're just talking past each other, is the speaker-listener technique.
Right, slowing things down.
Exactly. It emphasizes manageable pieces of communication. The speaker focuses on expressing one thought or feeling clearly and concisely, then pauses to let the listener paraphrase what was just said. This allows for real-time checks on understanding, ensuring the message sent is the message received, catching misunderstandings before they spiral.
And for the listener, the main rule is simple. Listen, your role is to truly pay attention and understand your partner's concern or feeling. No interrupting, no disagreeing, no offering solutions, no defending yourself for the moment.
Your turn will come. It forces deep, focused listening and prevents a debate from becoming a shouting match.
This technique really slows down the conversation, forcing both partners to be present and ensure accurate comprehension, which is often lost in heated moments.
Creates a temporary safe space for each person to truly express themselves without immediate rebuttal or judgment. It's a disciplined approach that builds foundational communication skills.
Reminding you that understanding comes before solutions.
And sometimes, despite all the tools, things just get too heated, too quickly. That's where the timeout strategy for escalating conflict comes in.
Taking a break.
Yes, but importantly, this isn't about avoidance or walking away from the problem. It's about giving both partners space to calm down, physically and emotionally. The purpose is to sort out a thoughtful response versus an impulsive, often damaging reaction.
So when one partner calls a timeout, it means, I need to step away for a bit because I'm too emotional to communicate constructively right now. Let's pause and come back to this.
Crucially, the person left behind must respect the timeout without following or continuing to argue. This demonstrates trust that their partner is protecting the relationship by preventing further damage rather than abandoning them.
And it's absolutely vital to always come back to discuss the issue later once both parties have calmed down. Agree on a specific time to resume the conversation. Let's take 20 minutes and talk again at 7 p.m.
This strategy helps prevent conversations from spiraling into unproductive, hurtful arguments, allowing for a more rational and empathetic discussion once emotions have regulated. It's really a sign of maturity and commitment to a healthy conflict resolution.
Absolutely. Okay, so this deep dive wouldn't be complete without looking at how changing societal norms and these deeply ingrained gender roles affect relationships and our ability to feel truly seen and authentically loved.
Yeah, that's a huge piece of the puzzle.
Gender roles, as we know, are socially constructed. They're learned behaviors and expectations, not biologically determined, though they can feel incredibly innate, and they can severely limit authentic expression.
They create power imbalances that impact mental health and, of course, relationship satisfaction, because they dictate how we should be, rather than allowing us to be who we truly are.
Traditionally, society often boxed men into being the strong, stoic financial providers, right? Emotionally reserved, focused on external success.
While women, conversely, were pushed into roles as nurturing caregivers, responsible for emotional labor and domestic management, often expected to be agreeable and outwardly beautiful.
And this extends to everything from who does what chore to how emotions are expressed. Like, men are often told they shouldn't express sensitive emotions like sadness or vulnerability.
Or if they do, they should bottle them up or express them as anger.
Right. While women are allowed to be emotional, but often penalized if they are perceived as too strong, too ambitious, or not sufficiently nurturing.
These rigid expectations are incredibly limiting and often just plain contradictory.
And these expectations really hinder individuals from expressing emotions authentically, leading to suppression, strained relationships, and a profound sense of not being fully known or seen.
When individuals can't meet society's often impossible expectations based on their gender, they can feel isolated, misunderstood, or even punished.
This can lead to significant psychological distress. Chronic shame, self-doubt, low self-esteem, chronic anxiety, stress, even depression. It's truly eye-opening how deeply these societal constructs impact our intimate connections.
And our ability to be held for who we truly are, beyond the roles we're assigned, it's a heavy burden to carry.
Yeah.
Connecting this to broader dating trends, we see significant gender disparities. For example, recent data shows that single men, at about 47%, are generally more open to dating and finding a relationship than single women, who are around 36%.
Wow, that's a noticeable gap.
It is, and this gap is even wider among young singles, suggesting a fundamental difference in priorities or perhaps perceived opportunities. It's almost as if men are more actively seeking while women are being more discerning.
That's quite a difference. So if a significant portion of men are ready to date, why are so many people, especially women, remaining single?
Well, the two most common reasons cited are having more important priorities, which is especially prominent for women, about 45% of women versus 29% of men, and difficulty meeting people. For women, these more important priorities often include things like career aspirations, personal growth, higher education, or simply enjoying their independence and existing social circles without the pressure of a relationship.
Maybe avoiding some of those traditional gender roles we just discussed.
Quite possibly.
Yeah.
And for college-educated women, a significant struggle is not being able to find someone who meets their expectations. Nearly half of them express this as a major factor.
And this isn't just about a laundry list of superficial qualities like height or income, though those might play a part sometimes.
Right. More often, it's about what they describe as basic standards of how they wish to be treated. Things like mutual respect, kindness, consideration, emotional maturity, and shared values.
For instance, young women express a strong desire for affirmation and clear investment in the relationship. They're seeking reassurance that our relationship is worthwhile through acts like remembering conversations, occasional thoughtful gestures like flowers, and consistently planning genuine date nights.
They want to feel like a priority, not just an option or an afterthought.
It seems like a very reasonable ask, certainly not demanding Mr. Perfect, yet it often feels like these basic standards are hard to find.
However, some perspectives do suggest that there might be unrealistic expectations on both sides, with some men potentially looking for a sort of 1950s housewife ideal, someone who prioritizes home life and domesticity above all else.
And perhaps some women seeking a partner who embodies every single ideal and almost impossibly perfect blend of traits, what we might jokingly call a unicorn partner.
And it's true that some men are also looking for a type of woman that maybe doesn't really exist anymore in the mainstream, the one who doesn't want a career or to make a name for herself, who will be content to play a purely supportive role.
It highlights how these deeply ingrained, often outdated gender roles continue to shape desires and create disconnects in modern relationships.
Both sides can be holding on to a romanticized, often unrealistic ideal that existed in a very different societal context. But what's encouraging is that most young adults do acknowledge that priorities in dating vary widely.
And that communicating those expectations clearly and early is vital for avoiding problems and finding a truly compatible match.
It's about finding a real person, not a historical archetype.
Exactly. So if everyone is looking for different things and has different expectations, how are people actually meeting partners these days?
Well, despite the meteoric rise of dating apps, traditional methods still surprisingly lead. Meeting through mutual friends or family accounts for about 26% of relationships.
Still outpacing online dating, which sits at around 11%.
Yeah. Meeting at school or work are also significant pathways to connection, suggesting that shared environments and existing social networks remain powerful conduits for forming relationships. The old ways still have a lot of life in them, it seems.
And while online dating is ubiquitous, experiences are definitely mixed, aren't they? Women, in particular, report significantly more negative experiences than men.
That's right. This includes common, frustrating issues like ghosting, where someone just abruptly disappears from communication without explanation.
Ghosting.
Receiving unsolicited, explicit images, or encountering individuals who aren't genuinely looking for a relationship, but are just time wasters, maybe engaging in breadcrumbing or benching.
It can be a truly disheartening landscape for many, contributing to that sense of superficiality we discussed earlier. It becomes less about connection and more about navigating a digital minefield sometimes. What's really interesting as a countertrend, especially among young adults, is a growing inclination towards dating people they already know, friends or casual acquaintances.
The friends first approach.
Yeah. Young women, for instance, are more likely to have been friends with their partner first than young men. It's almost a return to a more organic, built-in connection, perhaps as a direct response to the perceived superficiality and high-effort, low-reward nature of online platforms.
Starting as friends allows for that seeing to happen naturally over time, doesn't it? Before the pressures of romantic courtship begin, it builds trust and understanding from the ground up.
Exactly.
And that friends first trend has an interesting link to relationship satisfaction. For men, being close friends with a partner before dating is significantly associated with higher relationship satisfaction.
Interesting. But not as much for women.
For women, this effect isn't as statistically significant, but it still highlights the inherent value of deep familiarity, shared history, and established trust before romance blossoms. It suggests a more stable, authentic foundation.
And it's also worth noting that knowing a partner's politics before dating has become more common, especially among young adults and those who were friends first.
Which indicates a growing desire for foundational value alignment earlier in the relationship, as political views often reflect deeper personal values and worldviews.
Makes sense. Okay, let's talk about partner perception, especially around attractiveness, and how it links to relationship satisfaction. This is fascinating.
It really is.
Most people believe their partner is as attractive as themselves, which sounds like a healthy baseline. But interestingly, men are actually more likely to rate their partner as more attractive than themselves.
A sweet sentiment, perhaps, but it has some surprising implications for satisfaction.
Right, because these perceptions impact satisfaction differently based on gender. Men who see themselves as more attractive than their partner report significantly less relationship satisfaction.
Which is a truly surprising finding. It suggests that perhaps a perceived imbalance in attractiveness creates dissatisfaction for the person who sees themselves as more attractive. Or maybe it ties back to that earlier point about men surveying their partners and comparing them to media ideals.
It's almost as if they feel a constant pressure to have a partner who matches or exceeds their perceived attractiveness. And if they feel they outrank their partner, it doesn't bring satisfaction.
It's a curious psychological puzzle.
But for women, relationship satisfaction is highest when they perceive parity in physical attractiveness between themselves and their partner.
So for women, it's not about being with someone more or less attractive, but about feeling like you're on an equal footing visually. That sense of equality seems to be a significant driver of satisfaction.
Perhaps tied to feelings of security and mutual respect.
Could be. This really reinforces the complex interplay of internal and external perceptions in relationships. It's not just about what you see, but what you perceive and how that perception aligns with your internal sense of equity and worth.
And while marriage rates are indeed declining in many parts of the world and views on relationship structures are shifting, it's clear that the vast majority of Americans still believe marriage is a relevant and desirable institution.
The fundamental human desire for deep connection, appreciation, and being truly seen and held that remains a central, enduring human need, regardless of the specific relationship structure or how society's landscape continues to evolve.
Absolutely.
So we've explored this subtle yet profound difference between merely being seen and being truly held in a relationship. We've dived deep into how our personal love languages shape our interactions and how effective communication really builds those bridges to deeper intimacy. It seems pretty clear that understanding ourselves and articulating our needs, even when it feels a little vulnerable or uncomfortable at first, is far more powerful and productive than silently expecting a partner to be a mind reader.
Oh, definitely. Because let's be honest, that just leads to a lot of awkward silence and unmet expectations, right?
Exactly.
And we've touched on how modern dating, with its unique pressures and sometimes, superficialities, really underscores the timeless importance of intentional, empathetic connection. It really shows that the journey to authentic love is less about finding some mythical perfect match and much more about perfecting the art of communication and genuine understanding. It's a continuous deep dive into ourselves, into each other, and into the ever-evolving landscape of what it means to truly connect, to truly hold another person in all their complexity.